The first time I deeply experienced a poem was in 1955, when I was 15. The poem was Thomas Gray's Elegy, written in a country churchyard. And I understood that the poem projected me into a certain state of consciousness, a state of consciousness different from that of every day. It was by no means a simple state of mind. It had to do with the enormous power of words, not merely to reflect, but to create a reality, a mood, which moved me away from the daylight world in which I ordinarily functioned and had identity. Speaking the poem's words aloud let me experience them physically, with my own breath coming out of my own body. In this situation, mind and body seemed not to be at odds. Thought seemed sensuous. Sensuality seemed thoughtful. Self and other were joined here too. Thomas Gray was a long-dead poet of the 18th century. It was his mind that was being expressed in his elegy, yet his poem seemed to be expressing my own inmost thoughts. It was almost as if Gray's passionate words allowed him to be reincarnated in my body. There was, of course, a real Thomas Gray, a man who actually existed and who did a number of things besides writing poetry. The Gray I was experiencing was not that person, but Gray the poet, the bard. Aspects of both our lives seemed suddenly to fall away, to be of little consequence. What did it matter who the man Thomas Gray was? What did it matter who I was, born in New Jersey, growing up in New York? My powerful reaction to Gray's words allowed me to recognize not only who he was, but who I was. I was a poet, and to be a poet meant to be transformed, to move away from the person who lived at 58 Prospect Street and who was 15 years old and who had a mother named Juana and a father named Jack. Poetry offered me another identity, that of the poet, and in so doing, it offered me another home, that of words. The life I led at home, in my house, was one thing. The life of words was another. I began to write poetry, then as now, in order to return to re-achieve the state of consciousness I perceived in Thomas Gray's poem. It had nothing to do with creative writing courses, with teachers, with exercises to increase my productivity, with workshops, with the fellowship of others who were also writing. If anything, I was a bit mistrustful of others. I wondered whether they had had an experience like mine, or whether they were writing for different and for me far less authentic reasons. It certainly had nothing to do with turning my writing into a product that would make money. I wrote recently, ironically, what good is a book? What good is a person? What good is a life if it don't make money? Septuagenarian.
September song.
U.S. Army helicopters fly relief missions in flood-devastated Pakistan.
Septuagenarian.
Federal indictments charge U.S. citizens with helping a Somali terrorist group.
Septuagenarian.
Agents check inside the mouth of a man arrested in a sweep near 80th Avenue and Hillside Street in Oakland.
Septuagenarian.
A federal judge who overturned California's ban on same-sex marriage ended his ruling by saying that the constitutional rights of gays and lesbians are being violated every day that Proposition 8 remains in effect. Septuagenarian. Ron Dellums ended his political career the same way he acted as mayor of Oakland, secretly and away from the public. The entire event was designed to create an alternate revisionist history that neither reflected the true nature of his work here nor the reality of the organizational chaos and daunting finances he's leaving behind.
Septuagenarian. Google Incorporated must stand trial in a lawsuit by a fired 54-year-old manager who said coworkers called him an old man and a fuddy-duddy, while bosses told him he was a bad cultural fit in the youth-oriented company. the state Supreme Court ruled Thursday.
Septuagenarian.
The San Francisco City Attorney's Office sought a court injunction Thursday against two street gangs whose bitter rivalry has left 10 people dead in the past 3 years in the city's Visitation Valley area.
Septuagenarian.
The California Republican Party, already challenged to win key races this year in a blue-leading state, has a new problem to deal with. The two GOP gubernatorial primary candidates are still tangling 2 months later. Meg Whitman apparently hasn't gotten the memo that the primary is over.
Septuagenarian.
The Senate confirmed Elena Kagan as the 112th U.S. Supreme Court Justice on a mostly partisan vote of 63 to 137.
Septuagenarian. One day during training camp long ago in Rockland, Jerry Rice was spotted in the cafeteria at lunchtime carrying a plate with sparse offerings, mixed fruit, small salad, and possibly enough animal protein to fill the upside-down lid from a jar, a small jar, sharpest knife in the drawer, entering the Hall of Fame.
Septuagenarian.
Heat plus humidity equals home runs? Come on. That's the easy way to explain the events at Turner Field on Thursday night. There's more.
Septuagenarian.
More than anything, he wants to shake that stigma. He can't pitch in the heat, manager Bruce Bocci said. He pitched a nice game tonight. That's a tough club over there, and 2 pitches were the difference.
Septuagenarian.
Fairfax slaps a moratorium on PG&E smart meters.
Septuagenarian.
What name do you publish under? John Ashbery, though I occasionally use Robert Frost.
Septuagenarian.
Back to School 2010, Night and Day Doorbusters.
Septuagenarian. Kenya's voters pass a new constitution designed to curb abuses of power.
Septuagenarian.
Ferrell is one of the stranger figures currently making movies and one of the stranger figures in the history of American film, toward the outer limits of man-boy eccentricity.
Guys, septuagenarian.
A British drama that does more with 3 people than most movies do with a cast of thousands.
Septuagenarian. Chiara Mastriani can't save weak screenplay.
Septuagenarian.
Dancing can't help inept screenplay.
Septuagenarian.
Why did this man renounce life and live 40 years like a Grinch in a children's story?
Septuagenarian.
Monday, sunny.
Septuagenarian.
Earthsea challenges longtime sound man.
Septuagenarian.
During the day, the house painters. During the night, Netflix.
Septuagenarian.
Blood sugar good. Pills. Paraplum.
Septuagenarian.
Friends. Darkness. Light. Overcast skies. Bright sunlight. Hybrid car. Son and daughter-in-law on way to Malaysia.
Septuagenarian.
Something released from the world which I cannot change, cannot make better.
Septuagenarian.
Horrible BP oil spill.
Septuagenarian.
Cannot make anything better. Septuagenarian. Dreams forgotten. Remembered sex. Kisses. Tenderness.
Septuagenarian.
You're the youngest septuagenarian I know.
How many do you know? Septuagenarian.
Work on time. In time, says Hawking. Time is entropy. Ave. Vale. When Meshuggah walks down the street. Sept. A long, long while. A long, long while.
Septuagenarian.
We could think of this world as being less real than the world of our imaginations, so that when we dream something, when we create a fiction, we are coming into contact with a reality which is deeper and more real than the reality we experience every day. What I'll be talking about says the opposite of that. It originates in one strand of Christianity, the notion that what God creates, the world, is real, whereas what human beings create, our stories, our fictions, is unreal. In its extreme form, this conception suggests that human fictions are satanic. Satan is the father of lies. We'll try to suggest what kind of truth this conception touches. When God says, "Let there be light," genuine light appears. The French poet Stéphane Mallarmé wrote that when the poet says, "Let there be something," a flower, for instance, there appears not the real flower, but the one that is absent from all bouquets. Set George and Henry.
Yeah.